Hey there, Wednesday Whatnot. Happy Thanksgiving. Pastor Wolfmueller here from Albuquerque. You can tell I'm in Albuquerque on Thanksgiving break because of the Sandia Mountains. Do you see that? There's more mountains above the clouds, but the clouds roll over the mountain like this. And if you look close, you can see where is it? Right up in here somewhere, you can see the second thing for the tram that goes up there. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving. We'll start with, do you know that it's actually easier for me to make a video and post it to the MailChimp for you guys than it is to write all the different stuff. So I'm on vacation, so I'm taking the easy way out. But I'm going to reflect. This video is just for you guys, and I want to reflect a little bit about Wednesday Whatnot, what it is, how it started, what it's become. It's kind of we're celebrating a milestone, by the way. This week we passed 3,000 people subscribed to Wednesday Whatnot, which is really cool. I think there's 3,064 of you. I checked before I started recording. So to all of you and to your families, happy Thanksgiving and I'm so glad that you're part of the fun. We'll start with a Bible passage, though. That's how we do it around here. Psalm 106, verse 1. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. We've been reflecting a lot lately on thankfulness. Last year or so, in fact, I realized what an important thing thankfulness is in Christian theology. And one of the, we did a whole show on cross defense last week about it, but just for us to remember today and tomorrow on Thanksgiving is that Christian thankfulness is different than worldly thankfulness. So worldly thankfulness always recognizes the goodness of the gift. You recognize what a beautiful mountain this thing is, but Christian thankfulness goes beyond the goodness of the gift to the giver. So Christian thankfulness recognizes that the Lord is the one who created this and who gave it to us for our joy and our comfort and all of that. So may we tomorrow be grateful for the gifts that are in front of us, for family and food and for whatever the Lord has given us, but let us also be thankful to the one who gives it to us. And that thankfulness lets us receive the Lord's gifts. Even when he hands us the terrible stuff, we can receive it with joy. So a couple of reflections on the Wednesday Whatnot. I hope this isn't too sort of self-indulgent, but it's interesting how this whole thing started and what it's become. It started for probably three different reasons. One, when I was traveling around and speaking, which is still the wildest thing that I get to go to places and talk about the scriptures. I mean, it's like a dream come true. But people would talk to me and ask how we could keep in touch. And so really the Wednesday Whatnot was what began as a way to keep in touch. It was an answer to a problem that I was having, which is how can I blog without actually ever finishing anything? So I can start a million things but never finish. So I'd see something, I'd want to think about it, write about it, and put something together. But actually coming up with a long blog post seemed like a lot. It still is for me. So how can I just grab little things that are catching my attention and put them out there? So it answered that problem. And it also was sort of a safety net against the deplatforming worry that sits in everyone's mind who's creating new media. In other words, if communication depends on YouTube staying up as a platform, or if it depends on Facebook staying up, what happens when those platforms collapse? What happens when YouTube decides they don't want any more theology on there, or whatever? What happens when Facebook says no more Christian content? Well, then what can you do? So Wednesday Whatnot became a way to kind of keep in touch with people in case of deplatforming. So those are the three reasons that it started, but it's become, in fact, so much more. And here's one. I wrote down kind of four things, maybe three things here that I understand Wednesday Whatnot to be for. Number one is so that I can be a blessing. Well, every time I think about it, I writing on Wednesday, or it's more often been on Thursday, just because of the rhythm of the work week now that I'm in Texas. But I think, how can I be a blessing to you and to your family? That's why we start with a scripture. In fact, there's two things that are the same in every Wednesday Whatnot. It begins with a scripture, and then it ends encouraging you to go to your pastor's Bible class. And that's intentional. The beginning with the scriptures, because, look, if I'm not bringing the scriptures, then I'm useless, basically. I mean, I'm utterly useless. That's what God has called me to do as a teacher in his church. So we want to bring the Bible, and you guys notice how I kind of put it in the center, and and I put it phrase by phrase as a poem, that's also very intentional. I'm trying to get you to slow down and to look at the scripture and expect to find something beautiful there. So too often we read the Bible, I think, too fast or too slow, that we need to take it as in smaller pieces or in bigger pieces. So it's so helpful to sit down and read a whole book through, the whole book of Romans or the whole of Colossians or even the whole of a gospel, get the whole thing, read it faster. It's also really helpful to read it slower, phrase by phrase, and savor it and let the scripture just sort of surprise us and delight us and give us something wonderful. So my hope is in the beginning of each Wednesday Whatnot, when you have a Bible passage that's phrase by phrase, that slows you down and it brings you some sort of delight. This idea of being a blessing is also why I wanted to do the book giveaways. I mean, everything that we're publishing, everything that I can make for free, trying to make for free. So every book that I republish, Luther's Works and all this sort of stuff, you can download it for free, but also you can go and buy it. And I make money from that. I mean, it's not a lot, but that's actually what keeps kind of all this stuff churning, and maybe more about that a little bit later. But I wanted to be free and I wanted to give it away. And look, some of you have just written me and said, I'd love to have a copy of that book for that, and I'm happy to send it to you. And that's the case. I mean, if you need something but you can't afford it, then just tell me. This is one of the great joys of this thing. And some of you support, you support the Around the Word stuff, which is amazing too to me, and that allows me to just do this, to give books to people who need it. So someone sent me a note the other day and said, I'm a new theologian, where do I start? And I sent her a pack of about 7 or 8 books, some Luther stuff and some other stuff. I said, here's a theological library for you to get going. And I mean, to be able to do that is wonderful for me. So I want it to be a blessing, and I want it so when you guys open it up and you read it, you're like, wow, oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's neat. Oof, that's fantastic. So that this is a blessing. That's number one. But number two, and maybe more important for me, is that you guys on Wednesday Whatnot serve as a sort of test group for me for theological experimentation. So I can run ideas by you. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video reacting to a Roman Catholic troll about how we didn't have the office and stuff like that. And I was going to publish it, but I thought, man, let me see what you guys think about it. And a ton of you guys watched it. I mean, over like 1,500 views, which was like more views than a normal video was getting. And you guys had a lot of great feedback. Some of you said, publish it. Some of you said, I'm not so sure. Why don't you take this? Well, so your advice, I didn't publish it. And I'm working on a sort of a more thorough and, I suppose, kind response. In fact, your reactions to that video helped me craft sort of a troll strategy, and that is to remember that everyone who's there on the YouTube channel trolling is a person for whom Christ died, and to treat them with the appropriate kindness. I don't know why, why they're there trolling and all this sort of stuff, but to remember that the Lord loves them, and to answer them with a kindness and a dignity that they're not even asking for by the way that they're acting. To try to heap hot coals on their head, to love them in this way. So I'm working on a more thorough video. I got my Chemnitz and Gerhard out responding to the Catholic accusation that the Lutherans don't have the valid office. And hopefully that'll come together pretty soon, and that'll stand there. You guys, I sent out a couple of weeks ago a request for Luther quotations for the Luther quotation calendar, and you guys, was over 200 quotations that you sent, which meant I didn't have to do any work except for read your quotations and decide which 12, and that's happening. That calendar is going to be coming out soon. And this Wednesday Whatnot, you guys let me try stuff to kind of see how things go. So we tried the Luther Large Catechism podcast. We put out the Lutheran Worldwide Locator, and to know that I've got enough people with enough attention on this stuff that we can try it is really great, because you guys are in some ways a theological incubator. When I was growing up, I wanted to be either a carpenter or a tree climber. I didn't know that there wasn't a such thing as professional tree climbers. So those are the two things that I wanted to be. But always whenever anybody would ask me what I wanted to be, it was a carpenter. And I like to make stuff. And you guys are an occasion for me to build theological stuff. It's really, really quite great. So that's great. So that's number two. The third thing that this has turned into is something like a marketing group, or for announcements. So when there's new groups or new trips or new books or anything else, that I can let you guys know. And this is super helpful to me. I try not to do the marketing stuff too much because I know it's annoying, and I try to make everything free that I can make free, so that money is not a constraint. But some people, you know, you want to get stuff, you want to build your theological library, and it's really helpful for me. I've got a guy who helps me do the layout. I've got a guy who helps me make the covers, the titles, and all this sort of stuff for the books. And I can invest and pay those guys to do the work because I know that I'll have enough of you that are interested that'll go and buy it, and it'll make up for that cost. And so that I have you guys there so that and I know that you're interested in the new stuff coming up, really gives me a lot of confidence to kind of press this stuff forward. And I'm really grateful for it because I'm always trying to figure out what's constraining this theological production, but having you guys there and your own interest, and that you're bought into the stuff, that you're like, hey, what can we do to promote our doctrine further and across the world, is also really, really helpful to me. Now, I can't do everything for free. Again, I try to do everything, but can't do everything. Can't do the CPH stuff for free, although I saw that they're going to sell Has American Christianity Failed for $5 again this Thanksgiving sale, so that's as close to free as it gets, I suppose. But everything, like the calendar, I can't do for free. The trips are hard to do for free, but everything that I can make available for free, I'm trying to do that because, again, I don't want the money stuff to be a constraint. So there you go. And it's really nice to let you guys know what's coming up. So there's a couple of things. The Luther calendar that you guys helped me build, that'll be announced. Man, I hope it's done by Friday or this weekend so I can announce that that's available. And that's an experiment. We'll see if that works. And if it works, maybe we'll make an annual thing out of it. We've been working, Carrie and I and Dad have been working on an itinerary for a 500th anniversary trip for the Diet of Worms in Germany, which, the Bach St. Thomas Boys Choir and Luther Wedding Festival in Wittenberg. It's going to be a great thing. So I'll announce that when it comes. And there's some other news. I don't know if you guys, I don't think I've told you, when I was working on this book, A Martyr's Faith for a Messed Up World, in a Faithless World, I did a follow-up with some of the research on Luther's view of the martyrs, and that was supposed to be a little essay, and it turned into a little book. So sometime after the first of the year, we'll publish that, Take They Our Life, Luther's View of the Martyrs. And there's a ton of Luther in there. I think you guys will really like that. And there's some others. You guys have seen the Teaching Christian Basics stuff on YouTube. I'm going to redo those videos with a booklet. And hopefully, first of the year, that project will start kicking into high gear as well. So there's a lot of kind of cool new things. And I'm glad you guys are interested in that and want to stay informed. One of the other things that's kind of come clear to me on this whole thing, because MailChimp is really a marketing tool, and all these sales guys talk about a sales funnel, and I didn't like to think about that for a long time, but finally I said, I don't think that it's wrong to think about it, because I want to know where this is all headed. In other words, what am I doing here with this Wednesday? Now where do I want it to end? And it was a complicated problem for me to solve. But here's my tentative solution, and that there's two places where I want you guys to be. For the Christian, I want you to end up in the Orthodox local church. That's why every week I say, go to your pastor's Bible class. And for the theologian, I want you to be reading old theological books. That's the end of the trail. That's the telos. That's the goal of all of this sort of stuff. Now, not everybody's going to be reading old theological books. Some of you will, but not everyone. But everyone should be involved in the local church if you can. Have a local gathering congregation that's confessing the catechism and eating and drinking the Lord's body and blood. And that's where I'm pressing all this sort of stuff. So this is a reminder that to me and to you that I can't be pastor to the internet. I mean, that's just a made up and ridiculous proposition. But that all of the stuff that's happening is pressing you towards those two places, to this involvement, to the theological involvement in your local church, and to reading old theology books. So if you're ever wondering what I'm up to, like where I'm pushing, what I'm driving towards, that's the picture. At least right now, that's the picture that I have in mind. So anyway, thanks again for your attention. It's an amazing thing to me that you guys are out there and engaged and interested in this theology. It gives me hope, so enjoy, and I'm so thankful for it as well. So hopefully this is not too long, but When you respond to the Wednesday Whatnot, by the way, the emails come back to me and I read them. And also you can comment on this video and that'll have the open conversation with all the other Wednesday Whatnotters who are watching this thing. So again, thanks for being part of the fun. Happy Thanksgiving. God's peace be with you. Look at that mountain, man.